Hey, good morning and happy Thursday. Look, it is, let's see, the 18th of March, Thursday, the day of the week, and welcome to Getting Started. So let's just do that, get started. I'm going to dig right in. And today, what I want to do is just kind of recap a little bit about what we're connecting in terms of time and money, the modes of time and the modes of money. We've been talking about how we can make time for things and spend time on things and invest time into things. We can waste time on things. All of these things are different modes of money, modes of time, and they're connected. And that's sort of the basis of the theme here. And how does this relate to our financial life? Well, it relates to our financial life in a lot of ways, but on a foundational level, how it relates to our financial life is that if we're not engaged in the process, then we're confused when we're doing things because we're not clear on defining an outcome or what it is that we're doing. In other words, if you're undertaking to do an activity, what is the activity that you're putting time in? Is it something that's productive? Is it an investment of time? Are you spending time on something? Are you saving time on something? Are you wasting time on something? All of these things are just simply different questions. And these different questions allow us to see things from a different perspective, right? So we're just taking a walk around and maybe looking at something all around it and maybe from the top to the bottom to see if we can see anything different. Primarily what we're looking for are patterns, right? We're looking for patterns in our time, patterns that show up in our money. And then we're going to be asking, once we identify those patterns, we're going to be asking different questions. Number one, is it working? Whatever I'm doing financially or with my time and or my money, is it working to get me the things that I desire? That's a pretty basic, simple question because the answer is either yes or no. The shit you're doing or the shit I'm doing is either working and getting me what I want and what I desire, or it's not. And then you have the opportunity to make a different choice, and you can say, well, I'm not going to do that because it's not working, getting me what I desire. I'm going to do something else and figure that out. At the end of the day, that's really the big picture, what we're trying to do here. Because here's my experience and here's my belief, at least in terms of how it comes down to helping people solve big financial problems. And having lived through that more than 3 decades ago, I can tell you that you have a different appreciation when you come from a basis of having experience, having done it. So you can develop some empathy, maybe a little bit of understanding, and a little bit more in the bandwidth of flexibility that, people are good people, but all of us, we do stupid shit sometimes, right? And so what I'm working on now is setting in motion an exercise that I learned how to do. Gosh, I think it's probably been about 8, maybe close to even 9 years ago. I'm going to share that exercise today. And what we're going to do is we're going to frame the exercise and properly frame it, give you some information about how it works and what the outcome that you should expect by allocating some time for the exercise. And I always caution people, make sure you're up for the challenge. If you're not up for the challenge, you might want to wait or reset until you're up for the challenge, because it's like anything else. Once you're all in it to win it, you want to go through whatever you're doing until you get to where you defined you want to be, right? And if things are getting in your way, roadblocks, obstacles, potholes, shit that just, whatever, blah, 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 you want to be able to properly navigate around, maybe under, maybe over, maybe just blow the shit up and go right through it. I don't know. You want to be able to navigate because you want to do whatever it takes to get from where you are to where you define there is and where you want to be. And I believe that at least a lot of experience that I've had in doing this professionally is that I believe people have great intentions, right? I think we all have great intentions when we undertake to set out to do something, particularly in our financial life. This year is going to be different. This year, I'm going to get control of my spending. I'm going to stop buying shit on the internet, and I'm going to stop, having shit delivered. And then, 3 weeks later, it comes, and I forgot that I ordered it, and then I ordered 2 of them because I forgot that I ordered the first one. Blah blah blah. Right. And I think the pattern that I recognize, at least for me, and I probably have recognized it occasionally in things that I do professionally, is that, it's sort of like that bullshit factor, right? We got this like mind chatter going on. And I call it mind chatter because it's your mind just starts wandering off to wherever it's going to go because we're not focused, right? We're not focused. And so, I think they used to call it daydreaming. I don't know that it's really daydreaming as much as it's meandering and wandering about with no direction, right? And whenever that happens, it starts talking to itself. You start having this conversation with yourself, even when somebody else is talking to you. You could be in a meeting at work, or in your business. And, everybody's talking. And by the way, isn't that such a waste of time? How many meetings do you have to have? You got to have meetings to have meetings. What a waste of productive time. Let's just go do some shit and build a business and make some money, right? Got to have all these meetings, right? One of the most unproductive efforts that I think that we undertake to do in our life is we spend a lot of time in meetings and then shit doesn't move. It's still stuck, right? Just jump in and, it's a little messy maybe, but just start doing shit. You know what? Meetings should last about 8 minutes, right? If you can't communicate what the objective is and get a consensus and build whatever you need to go forward and do whatever you want to do in 8 minutes, maybe you've got a bigger task and you need to break that down into smaller bites or something. Meetings should be in, do it, and out of it. And then let's go do some shit that's going to make some money. And the problem or the challenge is that we get into the habit and routine of having meetings. And so we spend more time in meetings because it's just the pattern. But my point being that it's sort of that bullshit factor. And it's like constantly we're listening to bullshit all day long, our own bullshit, somebody else's bullshit. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's kind of a little bit of a challenge to separate sometimes the bullshit from the reality, right? And so in framing this exercise, again, only if you're up to the challenge, right? If you're not up to the challenge, that's okay. That's cool. Maybe you're just not ready. But when you are ready, you got to be ready and you got to get ready and you got to get started. Then you got to get doing, right? And then you do this. Is you're going to ask a different question. And I framed this question a couple of ways over the course of the last couple of weeks. And this is focused again on our financial life, right? The question or some variation of this question in your own words, of course, would be, what do I really want in the way of my financial life? What do I really want? How do I really define my financial life? Is my financial life involving making money or creating financial freedom? Because anybody can make money. Making money is easy. Creating financial freedom, that you better get your big boy and your big girl pants on, because that's a big boy, big girl thing. Making money, anybody can do that, right? I know a lot of people over the years that made shitloads of money and had nothing, right? They still had nothing. They had a lot of problems, not because they made a lot of money. They just had no plan, right? And probably a lot of the bullshit. And we listen to this inside of our own head, and we listen to it from other people, and what's in their head comes out, and then we have to listen to it, and then they have to listen to our bullshit, right? And so this exercise is designed to kind of cut through the bullshit and get real and get down to the brass tacks of, just measuring where are you in terms of the commitment, in terms of your own commitment to your own self, to your own life, to your own financial life. It's one thing to say, I want to have financial freedom. It's quite another thing to say, I'm going to do whatever it takes to create the financial life that I desire. And I'm going to start right now. And one of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to recognize that, I say a lot of stuff that's just like bullshit, right? It's just total bullshit. I don't say what I mean a lot of times. And I think we're all susceptible to that. I don't think we set out intentionally to do that. I just think it's just part of a human being human, right? We say what we feel, we say what we think, but sometimes or oftentimes, maybe we're just not communicating and saying what we really mean to say. And then it's like, well, I don't want the person to be offended. Look, here's the thing. If the other person chooses to be offended, you have no control over that, right? If your intention wasn't to offend, you're just giving feedback, then just frame it. Hey, I'd like to just give you some feedback. It's not even an opinion. It's just feedback. You might want to think about X, Y, Z, right? And then if that person chooses to be offended, then that's their choice. All you have to do is just say, look, please forgive me. My intention wasn't to offend you. I was just trying to give you some feedback. Have a nice day. Please drive through. But here's the thing. We say that we're concerned or we're worried what people are going to think or do or say. And it's not that we're worried about what people are going to think, do, or say. It's we're not connected to our confidence. We don't have the confidence to say what we mean and mean what we say, right? I had that problem way back in the day. I had a huge issue with that. And then one day I didn't. But, it didn't happen like, okay, Tuesday I had it, and then the next day on Wednesday I woke up and I didn't have it. And it took a little bit more time. But you get my point. The point being that this exercise is going to work more effectively if you can get real for a little bit of time and just cut through the bullshit and just get down to really what you really mean to say in defining your financial life. Because I have found until you really cut through the bullshit, you can sign up for 1,000 programs. You can sign up for 100 different coaching things. You can go to all kinds of things to fix your credit, to get more money, to do this, to do that. And none of that shit is going to work on a sustainable long-term basis because of one reason. And that one reason is we have not built a solid foundation and a good, effective, productive relationship with our financial life, our money. And so if I do anything in my effort and desire in what we're doing on these podcasts and in the 7 Secrets program, the Get Started program, it's to bring about an awareness that you would have the ability to have different choices, to ask different questions, and maybe a little bit of helping you cut through your bullshit. Because we all have at least one bag of bullshit that we carry around. Auto response, blah, blah, blah. It's like, back in the day, it was like you'd see these personal ads for like dating before the e-dating thing happened, right? And I think you even see it on that. What are you looking for? Blah, 2 people looking for, walks on the beach, holding hands, watching sunset. Bullshit. No, that's not what you mean to say. That's bullshit. And so we get trapped into saying what we think people want to hear, and we give up like our own self, right? We give up our own identity, our own confidence, or whatever. Just say what you mean. You don't have to say it in an offensive way. Just, cut through the bullshit and just say what you got to say. if you're worried about, or you communicate that you're worried about how somebody's going to feel about what you say, then I think I would suggest, because I used to think like that, and then I figured out real quick that was bullshit too. That was just me spewing out some excuse to make up an excuse for not having the confidence to say what I really meant and wanted to say. When it comes to your financial life, that bullshit shows up the same way. And we convince ourselves that something that's happening is working when the facts clearly show it's not. And so we run off to this program, we run off to do this thing, we buy this, we sign up for that, we download that. All bullshit. It's all bullshit. And none of it is going to work on a sustainable long-term basis. And the reason is for the same reason. We don't have a foundation and we don't have an effective, productive relationship with our financial life and our money. So you can pour all the time, all the energy, all the emotion, all the effort, and all the money into any number of all of these programs. And at the end of the day, I'm going to save you all of that by just telling you it's bullshit. Until you build the foundation and define the financial life that you truly desire, it's always going to be bullshit. It's going to be you or me or somebody else trying to convince himself this time is going to be different. It's not. It's going to end up in the same result that it's always ended up, because we haven't addressed the fundamental issue, and that's asking a different question about what kind of relationship do we have with our financial life and our money. And so framing this exercise today, that's a little bit of the background. Maybe the theme can be cut through the bullshit would be the theme of the exercise. I know when I first did this, and like I said, I think it's been about 8 or 9 years, the first time that I did this. And my mentor had taught me a really cool way to do this. That you can do it any way that you want, but I'm going to give you some heads up. You have to do some pre-exercise work, and you have to set things up so that you have the opportunity to make it work to the maximum potential to get the most out of it for yourself, right? And so I'm going to frame that today, and then tomorrow on Friday, I'm going to bring that all together, conclude what the exercise and the time constraints that you need to be aware of, and just what you want to do beginning, during, and after the exercise. And the conclusion of the exercise would be that you're going to have some clarity, probably more clarity than you've had in a long time when it comes to your financial life. And I found this exercise to be just like, man, on steroids, the effect that it had. I still do it to this day, and I do it twice a year, and I'm up to 60 hours, what it takes that I invest in time each time I do it. So I put in 120 hours a year, 2 times during the year, 60 hours at a time. And man, I just recently did it in January, and talk about the stark clarity each time. Things just get more clear, particularly in my financial life, our financial life. And so I'm going to share that with you today. So let's frame the exercise. You might want to grab a writing instrument. It could be a pen, a pencil, or a crayon, or even a spray paint can. I've seen people write shit on the wall with spray paint cans. So whatever you're comfortable with. And then maybe a notepad, or maybe a wall or cardboard box or something to write on. All right. So the first time you do this exercise, the time limit should be 6 hours, and it should be uninterrupted. In other words, you got to set shit up in your house, your home. You got to set shit up where you can do this uninterrupted. People can't be coming in and, oh, I need a cup of coffee, and oh, I need, the house is on fire, right? Unless the house is actually on fire, you can't be interrupted. Or you want to work to set it up in a way that you have avoided almost any possibility that you can be interrupted. And maybe you just go somewhere for 6 hours. I don't know, the park, or the alley, or somewhere, hang out for like 6 hours. But the first time you do it, it's a 6 hour time interval. each time that you do it, you should do it, as often as you want. When I first did it, I did it about 3 times during the year. The first time, I'm doing it 2 times a year right now, but I'm up to 60-hour intervals at this stage right now. And each time, like I said, it's just more powerful. The framing of the question and the focus of this time, this is personal time that you're investing in you, in your financial life. And you're going to have to disconnect your, connecting with your little pocket device, right? That thing is just evil. No internet, no phone, no, I got to take a break and call and text, Tammy, or I got to text Tommy. No bullshit. It's just, stop, put that shit down, turn it off, leave it home, whatever. Put it somewhere where you're not going to be distracted. No TV, no radio, no internet. Try to limit your interpersonal contact to no human being. This is alone time. This is an investment in you, in your time with you. And maybe a little bit of time to get to know yourself a little bit better when it comes to your financial life. It's a powerful exercise. So that's sort of the ground rules that my mentor taught me, and that I still play by today. I don't eat during that time, but I do have water. So for me, it's like 60 hours of fasting. And I might have like a soda cracker, a piece of cheese, a little bit of that, maybe along the way, just to make sure my glucose, blood sugar, all that shit's not going crazy. But for the most part, it's 60 hours nonstop, and the world is not allowed to bother me or interrupt me. You're going to do 6 hours to start. That's what I did back in the day when I first learned how to do this. And you can have a notepad. I ended up having to have 2 notepads because I just, just all the crap. And that's how I discovered a lot of it was bullshit, excuse making, right? And what you're going to be doing is asking a different question and framing it in your own words, however you want to frame it, and cut through the bullshit and really write down or really address or really contemplate or really think about what you really want. Not the bullshit that you think other people think you want. Not the bullshit that you keep trying to convince yourself that you want. Not the bullshit that we keep trying to tell ourselves and convince ourselves that we want. I mean the real shit that you want in your financial life. The shit that sometimes you feel like embarrassed to write down or say. The shit that you feel uncomfortable addressing. The shit that you, find some disconnect with your confidence of really asserting what you really desire because you're concerned what people would think or what people would say. Look, I'm indifferent. The world's opinion of me is none of my damn business, and I could give a shit. It's not that I don't care. I'm just indifferent. I don't live my life based on how other people see me, think about me, whether they like me or don't like people that say, I don't like him. You don't even fucking know me. I mean, what do you mean you don't like me? You don't even know me, right? And so I don't get hung up on that bullshit because that's what it is. Not here to win a popularity contest. I'm a fun guy. I'm a nice guy. I do a lot of cool shit, but I don't take a lot of shit and I don't give a lot of shit. I just do stuff. And I find that it works in your financial life is one of the most important aspects of your life. And if you're not in it to win it, you're not going to win it. That's just simply that's no bullshit. That's the way this shit works in life. And so let's just cut the bullshit one day for 6 hours and start addressing what you really want. And have the confidence to assert that, have the confidence to reflect on it, and have the confidence to ask the second question. Why don't you have it, right? Why don't you have that financial life that you say you really want? I mean, that's an important question, right? That's an important question. The reason it's an important question is it cuts through the bullshit that we keep feeding ourselves and why we're stuck, because we're not willing to ask that direct question, and we're not willing to address what it takes to do that. So if that's the shit that you want and you spend 6 hours with yourself just going over that one question at the end, just, or during the process of that 6 hour time period, Just ask yourself the same. I want this. I really want that. Then ask the second question. Why don't you have that? And it's not that there's a right answer or a wrong answer. It's designed to help you cut through the bullshit. And if you want the financial life that you say that you want and desire, then you have to figure out, like I did, that at some point you got to cut through the bullshit and just figure out what is it that you really want financially in your life, and why don't you have it? Because until we get there, there's nothing any program or any other bullshit, right, is going to do to change anything. It's not even change. It's really transformation. It's just deciding to set your life up and live it in a way that you live toward everything that you desire. But do you really have an idea, and do you really have a clarity, focus, understanding of what you truly desire financially? A lot of people say they do. I used to say it was bullshit. I used to say all kinds of shit, and that's all it was bullshit. And until I did this and really just cut all the bullshit out and just wrote down the shit that I really did want in my life financially, nothing was going to change. And that's why things crashed and burned. And at some point you just get to the point you just say to yourself, man, that shit's just not working. And why isn't it working? Because all of the bullshit, right? So the exercise is framed that way. You want to set it up in advance. So you've got a day in the future, in the near future, where you're going to do this. I invested, like I was suggested by my original mentor, to do the first time I did this, to do 6 hours and do everything possible that you can to prepare and get ready so that you're not interrupted, especially with this kind of bullshit device, right? No electronic devices, no radio, no earphones, earpods, no TV. This is time for you to spend with you, asking a different question. What do you really want in your financial life? What kind of financial life do you really want? I mean, really, bullshit aside, what do you really want? And then why don't you have it? I ask it all the time. And then it reminds me, because I'm back to carrying a bag of bullshit around, trying to convince myself of shit that's not real. And I've got to do more to lean in and do whatever it takes to have that. And I'm not going to sit around and wait for it to happen, because that's bullshit too. It ain't going to happen until I make shit happen. And I'm just going to be real. It's not complicated. It's never been complicated. But we make it a lot more about a lot of other shit that doesn't have anything to do with it. It has to do with one thing. What do you want, and why don't you have it? If that's what you really want, then why don't you have it? And then let's start there. Because until we get there, you don't have a foundation. I don't have a foundation. Joe Blow down the street, Tammy Tulip doesn't have it. Nobody has a foundation to build any kind of a financial life on without that as a starting point. All these other programs are, they may be good for this, that, and the other thing, but until you have this, they're all bullshit. They won't work. They won't be sustainable. I wasted a lot of time. I wasted a lot of money. And a lot of energy and a lot of emotion on doing a lot of shit that didn't work. And what worked was what my mentor taught me back in the day. You have to ask different questions. What do you really want? And then why don't you have it? Because then you have to wake up and you have to understand that you're making choices. I'm making choices. We're making choices that are contrary to what we really desire. And if that is what is happening, then you just got to stop doing that shit and do something else, because that's never going to work. And I think until a human being gets to the point where they're willing to just cut through the bullshit and get real and ask it's 2 questions. So this is not like it's a long time here. You want 6 hours because it takes 6 hours. The first hour, you're going to have to just get through the uncomfortable feeling of being alone with you and nothing else, right? No device, no electronic network, no interruption, blah, blah, blah. It's you. It's your life. And if you're not that important, that might be part of the bullshit that we're dealing with. I don't know. I just know that that without doing this, it wasn't possible for me to go through and cut through my own bullshit and make any kind of a transformation until I did this. And like I say today, I do it twice a year. I usually spend about 3 or 4 weeks preparing to do it because I go nonstop for 60. I'm up to 60 hours now. I mean, that's like 2.5 days. I don't talk to anybody. I don't do anything. I don't connect. I don't turn on computers, phones. I got a pencil, a pen, and a notepad. And I'm just going through the bullshit. I'm just going through, what kind of financial life do I really want and desire? And what am I doing? And why don't I have this? And why don't I have that? And I'm going to tell you, I just did this in January, and it took me about 3 weeks to get ready and prepare for it. And I came out of that with, man, some of the most focused clarity that I think I've had in a long time. It's almost like you feel like you woke up out of a fog, right? And at the end of the day, what I found, and here's the thing, it doesn't cost you anything. It's not even costing you time. This is an investment of time because it's necessary that at some point we've got to figure out a way to cut through the bullshit and build the foundation that's going to be important to build the financial life that we do. It's like building a house, right? We built several properties from the ground up, right? And man, I'm going to tell you, if you don't do the footings right, if you don't do the prep work right, and you don't have a solid foundation, I don't give a shit what you put on it. It's going to fall down. It will not last. We spend in the projects that we've done or that I've done, building like duplexes, I spend 20, even 25% more on the footings and the rebar and the kind of concrete and all that shit just to make sure that foundation. I'm not going to have a cracked slab. I'm not going to have this, water barriers, moisture leaking in the concrete. No. Quality and time and commitment to have a solid foundation. Then whatever I put on it's going to be there forever. We're nearly forever, longer than I'll be around. And so that I learned that from a builder that mentored me in how to do that. And it was one of the most valuable lessons because that little bit of extra investment of money and time paid off in premiums down the road that were immeasurable. So anyway, that's the exercise frame. So that's how it works. Tomorrow, what I'll do is I'll bring it all together. Tomorrow's Friday, the 19th of March, and I'll bring it all together and I'll give you a little bit of a hack that will kind of give you a little bit of an edge in the exercise. Again, if you're doing the exercise and if you're up to the challenge, right? You've got to be up to the challenge of doing this. This kind of stuff is not for everybody. Unfortunately, everybody would benefit, I think, on some level of doing it. But it's usually, these are the kinds of tools and stuff that I had given to me by my mentor that were reserved for what I call the 80-20 rule. 20% of the people that are really up for the challenge in life that gives you the opportunity to create the life that you desire. The other 80%, they're for whatever reason, not judging it, they're just not up for the challenge. And so if you're watching the video and you're one of the 80%, that's okay. You're just at a stage right now where you're not up for the challenge, and that's cool. There was a long time that I wasn't up for the challenge, which again was my bullshit, right? But when I was, and I finally did it, it was transformational. My life transformed, didn't change. It transformed. And I learned effective techniques that are pretty basic, starting with, defining the life that I truly desire financially and cut the bullshit and then ask the question, why don't I have those things? And then I had to address that. Because what it does is it forces you to recognize, maybe we do make excuses. Maybe we do disconnect from our confidence. Maybe we do say what we say what we feel, and not say what we mean. And that's more bullshit, right? It's all bullshit. It's like that whole thing about dating, right? holding hands, walking on the beach, watching sunset. Bullshit, right? Bullshit. That's not what people are looking for. I don't know what they're looking for. They're not looking for that. That's all bullshit. And so we get stuck in this routine, telling ourselves shit that's not true. It's just not true. So spend the 6 hours, set it up where you're not going to be interrupted. Turn off all your shit, leave your phone, lock your phone in a box and hide the key somewhere, or have somebody else hide the key. Because it won't work if you're not disconnected from interruption. And I would suggest, as best you can, fast for that 6 hours. Have some water. You got to stay hydrated, right? But no Big Macs and Slurpees and or whatever shit. No salads with pecans or just stop eating for 6 hours. You're not going to die. You're going to think you are, like I did, but you're not. So don't order a pizza while you're doing this. And then at the end of the 6 hours, you've asked this question repeatedly, writing shit down and looking at it. This is what I really want financially. Why don't we say that? Why don't we say what we really want? Are we embarrassed? No, that's bullshit. That's more bullshit showing up, right? What do you really want? What do you really desire? Define it. And then ask the important next question. Why don't you have it? Why don't you have it? Because that's what I did. And I didn't like the answer. And then I did something about it. And that was about, 25, 28 years ago. It was a long time ago. And at the same time, I realized that the biggest problem was not the world around me. The biggest problem was the bullshit I kept talking about that was just a bunch of bullshit that I was doing and saying. And until I got through that and my mentor helped me figure that part out, nothing changed. And it's a very different world today. So that's the framing of the exercise. My intention today was not to offend anybody. So if you felt offended, please forgive me. That was not my intention. Choose not to be offended, and choose to be enlightened or informed or entertained. Maybe just consider this entertainment. For those that are watching and that are up to this kind of challenge, I'll just give you one more cautionary tale here. Be ready for the commitment of an uninterrupted 6 hour duration of time alone with you, asking these two important questions. And if it doesn't work out the first time, then you need a little bit more prep time and reset, and then do it again. 6 hours is an important number in time because of just how you process information. And this focus is designed to give you some real clarity. It works like you can't possibly believe. And you can only experience. And that's what a mentor does. Creates an opportunity for you to have an experience of doing shit. You make the choice to do it or not. All right. Have an awesome day. Thursday, the 18th. Man, it's like I just saw this morning, more rain coming. God, enough, right? Enough already. Have a great day. Hit me if you need me. There's all kinds of tools up there on the website that's scrolling on the bottom. Take care and have an awesome day.